Welcome to Season 6 of the State Specific Show, where we weave across the country and the world to highlight local sneaker culture specific to those geographic areas. I am Gabriel Fortson. You can find me across all social platforms at Gabriel Fortson.
I'm AD Sneaks. Call me AD, you can call me Andy, call me whatever you want. But you'll find me on social platforms, AD Sneaks.
Our guest tonight represents Portland, Oregon, by way of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. After attending LSU, he ventured off to hone his marketing skills at Saucony, Reebok, Adidas Yeezy, and eventually to Nike before he bet on himself and started climbing stories with Bimma. He has now taken all of his knowledge he possesses about the art of collaborations and marketing and educates the world through his Collab Lab by analyzing the viability of corporate collaborations across multiple genres, but primarily sneakers and fashion. He goes by at Bimma Williams on IG. Please welcome Bimma to the show.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Excited to be here. You know, anytime we talk about collabs and sneakers and this whole world of ours, you know, I'm down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to be here, man. This is awesome. So we'll just jump right into it. And, you know, we'll talk about some things that impacted you growing up and how it put you in a space to where you kind of follow this path and journey that you're on now. And then we'll just go from there. So what's your first memory of relating sneakers to style and culture?
Oh man. The first was through my family. So I grew up in Louisiana, and I grew up in Baton Rouge. My family grew up more west in Lake Charles. And Lake Charles is not a place you look to for sneaker culture, fashion, none of those things. Lake Chuck, there's like casinos. That's all you got. You want to gamble,
right.
You know, you want to go hang out at the hotel, the casino all night, smell like cigarettes. That's about it. And so my family, my mom and them from out there, and you know, I'm an only child, and so I mostly looked up to like my older cousins. I feel like when you have older people in your life at a young age, you just admire what they do. You want to emulate what they do. And
Right.
I remember one Christmas, my cousins, it was my cousin Niecy and her brother, they got a pair of Jordan 9s. And I didn't really know what that was. I think I was like 7 or 8 at the time. I was in 3rd
Yeah.
grade. And I was like, nah, I want what they got. I want those as well. I want to be cool like my cousins. You
Yep.
know, I want to be fresh for Christmas like my cousins. And I remember my mom finally giving in, and we went to the mall, and this is the first time I was like, oh yeah, I was like, my mom was like, there's something strange about you, because I remember getting the shoes and I was like, why mine got a red button on the back? Why it don't have the same detail as as theirs? And I don't know if y'all remember, but the kids' kicks used to just be so
Right.
removed of details. Like you wouldn't have the same detailing on the bottom, because the Jordan 9 has so much storytelling on the
Yep.
bottom of them. Like, it was part of it felt more artful. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of Tinker's designs felt artful, but like between the 9 and the 10, he really was trying to do something with these outsoles.
Right.
And then the button on the back, for the kids, it was just like a red button. It had none of the details, the 23 on the back, none of that stuff was there. And so I immediately noticed it, and my mom was like, it's just sneakers. And I think that has haunted her since then.
Right.
That's too funny. It's like, but it seems like those like childhood memories of like, wait, what? Like kind of get you hooked. And it's like, oh, well, like maybe for you, you're like, oh, now I got to get the full size pair, but to get the full size pair, I got to be a bigger kid to get the
Yeah,
pair that has the detail on it, like my cousins. Like,
I was eager to grow up faster, because I was like, when can I get into the sizes where I actually have because then it was like, oh, these aren't the real Jordan 9s, right? Like,
yeah,
because I don't have the pair my cousins have. Like, I got a little bit, but I ain't really got, like, theirs look like they got all of the details. They're like, they got the professional version. Like,
like these are what
I
Mike
got
would wear.
Right.
yeah, I
Right.
want what Mike would wear. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want the off brand.
That's funny because yeah, my kids, my oldest is kind of the same way because he's on that cusp of
Yep.
footwear, and he's like, "Well, Dad, why are yours have this? Like, they look nicer than mine." I was like, "You'll get there, buddy. You'll
You
get there."
you get there. Parents don't want to. We're not trying to spend money for you to go trash these tomorrow.
Right.
Exactly. I'm happy the price point where they're at right now. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's cool. I mean, that's like those childhood memories are, I don't know, I think those are things that we look back on, and it's, as adults we can see like, okay, that was influential to where I'm at now with the things that I enjoy doing now. I guess when were you like, not necessarily as a kid, but when did you start to separate like sneaker culture from just like, the style, the aesthetic, the community side of it from like the functional side of sneakers? Like how old were you when you saw that difference?
I think I started to really care in high school.
Okay.
Um, and it was, because that is a period of time where other kids' opinions start to come into play.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
happens in middle school, it happens in elementary school a little bit, but high school, society and your parents, your neighbor, everyone makes such a big deal about going to high school. It's your first day of high school. What you gonna wear, all of these different things. And it's like, if you show up and I don't know, whatever the case may be, you don't want it to be like your whole brand that follows you through all of high school. And I remember I grew up a runner. And so, you know, the ball players and some of the other cats, their sneakers that they wore and maybe balled in, they could wear to class and wear to
Hmm.
hoop in if they needed to or if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Runners weren't accepted like that then. Like runners, trainers, whatever you want to call them, like those were not accepted like that when I was in high school. Like Cass was like, nah, take them little them things you running in track with off. You need to,
Right.
so I'm like, I gotta have my hyper dunks in my backpack, on my feet, and then I gotta have my little Pegasus or whatever I was running in tucked in the bag because I didn't want to get ridiculed at school. And it was light bullying. It wasn't like anything like dangerous or
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I think there was like a healthy amount of like a care about what you wore when you came to school because we was all watching like I'm gonna put the age on myself, but we was watching like all the videos. Nelly Air Force Ones was a thing at
Yup.
that time.
Yeah.
Like you was like, yeah, we had to have whatever colors was available. We was trying to figure out, how to get those.
Right.
And like it wasn't until I got into college where, some of these other platforms started to come online and we got to see some of the other things that were happening in cities and states that were outside of Louisiana. And it was a very small group of us. And when I say small, I mean like it was 10 of us that knew beyond the mall.
Mm.
But it was that high school experience where I really started to take a deeper interest. And it was things like, Nike Talk and things like Complex that really opened the aperture to like, wait, there's this whole other world of this thing that I'm interested in beyond just Jordan sneakers or beyond
Hmm.
just, white on white Air Force Ones or what Nelly's talking about. Like there's this whole community of people
Yeah.
that have access to stuff I've never seen.
No doubt.
Beyond the complaining of little red dots on the back of Jordan 9s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We came a long way from there, and I try to remember that because I feel like we get so many different sneakers and collaborations and limited editions and signatures these days that um you could take it for granted because there's a time
Mhm.
where like they weren't doing any of this. Like none of
Right.
this stuff was done. They were like, you get a colorway in spring, maybe one in the fall, something for
Yep.
holiday.
Yeah, now
Right.
you get collaborations and colorways every week, and
Every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
What do you want?
yep.
Yeah. I told somebody, I think yesterday, I'm sneaker poor, man. It's like, they just keep hitting you upside the head,
No, it's true.
Especially
I'm
this
like,
year.
I'm like, yeah, this year is like insane. I'm like, I was like, who's buying all of this? Like, how are y'all
Right.
getting all of these? You every week?
It's
I'm
like
like, you
people, you
buy.
gotta refinance the house, and
I
get these
look.
sneakers, but goodness.
It's so many sneakers.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost way too many for sure. So, was it a situation where you had to match your sneakers to your fit? And
Mhm.
like, how did that come about when you kind of started like realizing that, okay, this is something that I really got to pay more attention to as far as how I present myself out to the world?
So, I came from the South. So, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, like we just gonna keep it a buck. Jabot and Reebok had a chokehold, okay, over us as kids from fifth grade. I remember leaving fifth grade, going to middle school. It was Jabots with the creases. It
Mm,
was classic white on white Reeboks. If you could get the ice
yeah.
bottom, great. And
Yep.
then it was, polo tops or white tees. Thank you,
Hmm.
juvenile and and cash money. And and so if it had to be that fit, like
Yeah.
that was the beginning. It had to be that fit. And then from there, you just paying attention to like what are the rappers wearing? Like what are they wearing in my community?
Yeah.
And so when I tell you Reebok had like such a crazy chokehold on the South, like we were wearing soldieries and classic Reeboks. That was the only thing that for like 3 years. It was like Jordans, no, nothing, no, Reeboks. And so that's
Yeah,
why
Yeah.
every time I'm like, there's an anniversary or an opportunity, I'm like, Reebok, go sell. Like, we
Right.
will still buy them.
Absolutely.
100%.
It's
That's
crazy. But
funny.
yeah, I had such a deep, when we think about, I was at the barbershop getting my hair retwisted last Friday, and we were literally talking about starch brands. And they were asking me about, the Jabots with the Velcro on them. And it really there's a pride in these products, and you remember them because like
Yeah.
again, like these things weren't happening so frequently. But then you also saw them in moments where it felt like we all got to see those moments in different ways,
Hmm.
versus where it seems like now everything is so available kind of at once to a mass audience. It's not necessarily, it doesn't feel like it's celebrated to like have your own regional style and do your own thing, and that's great.
Right.
It does feel a little different right now, but the way we dress in the South, we would get made fun of going up New York or going to California or other places, and so it's hilarious when you see like Playboy Cardi dressing like I dressed in middle school.
Right? Well,
That is
that's an interesting
hilarious.
point because, like, back then, like, I don't know, not that the world was bigger, but I feel like right now with the internet, social media, all the access to information that we have, it's smaller. And I think those
Mhm.
experiences, like you were saying, that you had growing up, um, it's more shared now because everybody sees it right away on social media. So that's an interesting way to put it because I remember like I grew up in Idaho, very different from Louisiana,
Mhm.
and I remember the Reebok classics. That was kind of our thing too. We get those. We had small little Foot Locker where I'm from, and those were always on
Yep,
the sale rack, and that was what we
yep,
would
Yeah.
get because
yep.
that was it.
Buy 2, buy 2.
Yep, buy two, and that was the deal, man.
Buy
And you
2,
and you
get
tried
1
to dress
free
them
or
up.
get it half
Yep.
off.
Right. Right.
And you tried to get fly with those sales shoes, like, that's what everybody was doing.
You had to,
That's what
man.
we had. That's what you
Yeah.
had, and you figured out, if they you could talk your moms into getting you to like the fat laces or whatever you could do to try to
Mhm.
like, dress them up.
Right.
Exactly. Loosen the laces up a little bit, let them hang out, let that tongue flap a little bit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's funny. That's
I
Man.
grew
funny.
up.
So when, oh, go ahead, Gabe. My
No,
bad.
I was about to say I grew up a little outside of Atlanta as far as like my formative years, and for us it was the K Swiss classics. Like, so it
Yeah.
wasn't Air Force Ones. Like our white on whites were K Swiss, and that's kind of what we rocked or whatever. But I do have one follow up. So purple. So I would assume that the purple has to do with Louisiana, Baton Rouge, and that kind of stuff. But assumptions sometimes can get us in trouble. So I'll let you kind of tell us that. And then how did you, formulate your own personal style? Like, did that like grow from something? If that's something that you can reveal, like how did you formulate your own personal style? Because what I imagine from my vantage point is that you have a closet with like on the movies where they have like 12 different of the same outfits, right?
Closet look like Doug Funny.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. So, coming from the South and being able to go where I've been able to go thus far in my career, I got a lot of family and homies back home that are creatives and entrepreneurs, and they want to make the earth shake in their own way, earthquake in their
Yeah.
own way. And a lot of them hit me and appreciate where I've been able to take it where we're from. And
Yeah.
so for me, I think the people that I admire so much are very grounded in where they're from. And they don't, no matter where they go, they don't forget where they're from. And so I thought for me, like my way of showing where I'm from is purple. I went to LSU,
Yep.
ranked number 3 in the country right now. Y'all
Okay.
don't make me eat them words, okay? We're number 3. We headed to number 1. Go Tigers. um, and and then, New Orleans, purple's big in New Orleans. A lot of representation, especially around Mardi Gras, and the
Yep.
culture of there. And so I thought that was an easy way to send a signal back home, but also an easy way to take, my friends, my home with me around the globe. And it took a while to kind of dial in what the exact kind of uniform and the aesthetic would be,
Mhm.
because as a kid that grew up in sportswear and streetwear that tried to rebel as much as possible against formal wear, I love it now, but I did not coming up. I didn't like now. I'm like, okay, I can get fly, but
Yeah.
then it was a thing. And so now, I went through iterations. So like when I started claiming stories in 2019, I was wearing a purple dad hat, and I was wearing a
Yep.
heather gray champion crew neck that I got from the Teamwear website. If you knew about that secret, you was getting them for like $20. And I bought like 7 of them. And then I got, I think it was like 511 light wash Levi's, and I was wearing these uh I was wearing these this pure platinum Jordan 1s from 2018, 2019. And I remember I was walking on Nike's campus one day and some young cat thought I was in 85s. I was like, man, if you're gonna do your research. So it started there, but the intent I knew was um it was rooted in showing up authentically as
Mhm.
who I am. And the other part to that was working in the space that we work in, there is a lot of consumerism. Like that's
Yep.
just it is what it is. There is consumerism, I think that's healthy, and I think there's consumerism where it's just like we're hoarders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I was in a place where I was like, I'm about to kind of step away from the full time thing. I'm about to I'm about to kind of start my own thing. And I was like, man, I really want to start out in a way that feels right to me. And as the years went on, I continued to kind of play with that. I could continue to try to refine kind of what that narrative was for me. And
Mhm.
ultimately, I ended up landing on a bucket, and I ended up landing on brown. One, because when I worked in corporate spaces, especially in corporate spaces that had European leadership, um,
Mhm.
Mhm.
they would wear all black with white shoes, and you would see that the people that would get promoted or ascend to these next levels, they was wearing that uniform, and I was like,
Mhm.
nah, if I'm gonna make it anywhere, it's got to be in my uniform, what I want
Yeah.
to wear. And so this was like a nod to home and my subtle protest.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
I just, I believe that we should all be able to show up as we are and be judged by what we contribute to the table in regards to professional circumstances, not by what uniform we need to wear to fit into someone else's
Absolutely.
idea of leadership.
Yeah.
No, I
And,
like that.
and it's also grown into your personal brand as well, which I think is awesome, right? So, I think I hit you up at one point in time. You were in a video. I'm trying to remember what video it was, but you were sitting in an auditorium, and I was like, "Hey, you're everywhere," But it was, that moment I saw you, and I knew exactly who you were as soon as the camera hit you, right? And it's because you've created your own personal brand that the whole world can recognize now.
I appreciate that. I mean, and that's another great like product of it. It wasn't the initial intent of it, but it's definitely a byproduct of it. Benefit for me is that we're in. I am a creator entrepreneur, and I'm not backed by any media conglomerates, right? So that means whatever investment y'all see happen, whatever travel or things you see happen, sometimes that could be in partnership with a brand. Usually I'll tell you if that's the case, but otherwise it's coming out of my pocket, right? And so
Hmm.
being in this as long as I've been in it and just studying it, you have to figure out different ways to market yourself creatively that can help people remember who you are, help you stand out in a crowd of incredible creators that are doing really remarkable work. I had to figure out like in that sea, like what's going to be the reason that, I stick out, not only, for my work, but also like these other things do help. They help people remember. And
Yeah.
that's a great byproduct that was the second, what would you say? The secondary impact.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool because I feel like, with content and creation, like it's like people can share opinions on sneakers, people can share content on sneakers, but what separates those opinions and that content is the individual.
Mhm.
And letting that shine the way that you have, it's been fun to watch, man. Like I remember I'd tune into Claim of Stories, listen to those episodes because I love the people that you were interviewing, and then I saw you doing stuff Collab Lab. I was like, okay, I like this version of Bimma too, but it's still
Yeah.
Bimma. Like Bima's been
Yeah.
Bimma like the whole time, and it's been really fun to watch.
I appreciate it, man. Switching to front of camera was it was a big thing for me. Because I'm naturally an introvert. I was way more comfortable interviewing people and letting them tell their story than I was sharing my opinion or my own story. And it was so funny because the stuff that I share now is stuff that I have in group chats with like, I got friends at so many different brands, different stores, different publications. And so a lot of stuff that I end up sharing publicly, I'm like, I had that conversation with someone, in a
Mhm.
private conversation. And I just didn't know that that was valuable to anyone. I didn't like, I think I have to, I always tell people, I think this is what's great about experimentation and putting your ideas out there before they're finished or any of those things is that you don't know what the market is interested in until you give the market something to respond to.
Mhm.
And when the market responded to that Pharrell, Timberland, Louis Vuitton video last year, I said, "What is
Okay.
this?" I was like, I never got this type of response before."
And you're like,
This is
okay, we'll
this is
keep it
different.
rolling.
Yeah, this is different. You got celebrities following and commenting. I'm like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you figure it out one day at a time. No, and that's the fun
Yeah.
part about creating. And I
Yeah.
guess kind of follow-up question to that is like, so being introverted like that, where you're more comfortable letting other people share, what was the driving force? Be like, you know what? I want to share my opinion with things. I want to get my opinion out there in front of everybody and do that.
Yeah, man. Honestly, it was I was coming off of the end of Claim of Stories. So we wrote down Claim of Stories after 4 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons. And I was trying to figure out what was next. And
Mhm.
I love I love podcasting. I love interviewing people, still do. One day I might find myself back into it. But I also am very frugal pragmatic, and I know too much right now. And so what that means is it wouldn't allow me to front money for the aesthetic that I wanted, because I'm also got this stupid bougie aesthetic in my head. And it's dumb because I always, anytime people hit me about content stuff, I always tell them, don't do the dumb stuff I did. Don't no. Riverside, if the conversation isn't great, you don't need nothing beautiful. Sorry. Like,
Yeah.
get conversation got to be good. Like,
Right.
get
Facts.
part one done. And
Yeah.
but I struggle, admittedly I struggle with aesthetics. And I was like, and then the other part of that was I wanted something I could do quicker. Something that could be a little bit more self-contained at the time, and also something that I could test without a huge investment. And
Yeah.
so I had been seeing, a couple homies, Jordan Rogers in the sports marketing space doing talk to camera. And then, I'm a big fan of shows like Jon Stewart, Daily Show, Trevor Noah,
Hmm.
Jeff Johnson, all those cats. And then I'm also a huge fan of John Oliver last week tonight. And I just saw what they were doing face to camera. And I was like, that's a real challenge for me. Like, I'm just like, this is kind of like mad uncomfortable
Yeah.
to be,
Fact.
because it's just you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't hide. I can't hide behind somebody else's personality. I can't hide behind the question or the story that I'm going to get them to tell. I
Mhm.
have to be the one to command. And as an introvert, it's more natural for me to retreat and let,
Hmm.
like I always joke with people, like most of my friends are very loud because I am not. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you meet me, if you only know me through this, you think, man, Beam probably just talk all the time. He got all these opinions and blah blah blah. If I sit at a dinner table, you'd be like, is this the same guy on the camera? And it takes a lot for me to get there, so it takes, like, when, like, there are clips where I'm like very animated, it's because I really was passionate about that take. I
Hmm.
couldn't fake it. Like,
Yeah.
it was like I feel deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it comes
So
across as authentic that way.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it, man. So this was my new challenge to myself, and in doing so, I found that, like, I really love to camera now. I love to be able to help cultivate conversation, and debate, if you will, because I think it's great for other people, whether we agree or not, to be able to share their perspectives, because there's so many different ones that
Hmm.
sometimes I don't even know when I'm sharing. I'm like, oh, I did not even think about that.
Yeah. No, I think that's what's beautiful about what you're doing is because, yes, you're sharing your opinion, you're sharing it based on facts that you've gathered. And, but at the end of every video, you ask a very pointed question to the people. And I think that that's healthy because online discourse these days, um, it can get pretty nasty sometimes. I mean, we've had conversations about that, but it's crazy out there. So I think it's cool that you're doing it in such a productive way. Like you're encouraging people to share their opinions, even if it's one side or the other side in your comment sections. And I love the videos, but I also love going into the comment
Oh,
sections of your
I
videos and seeing
Yeah.
what other people
love the
have to
comment
say.
section. The comment
Yeah.
section, because it's like, I think, like, you have, like, comment sections. Every comment section has its place. Like, when
Mhm.
we go on certain sneaker accounts and it's just fire emojis, I'm like, that's cool too. Like that
Right.
shoe's fire, deserves a fire emoji.
Yeah.
What I get caught up on in mine is, like, I think some of my takes, like, some of them have started to reach, like, a minute 30 seconds, so like 90-second takes at this point, and they'll get longer. But I'll go in the comments and I'm like, this thread is like 100 comments deep on one comment. And I'm like, they really like talking this thing out. And then don't let me make the mistake of, like, see, like, sometimes someone will, like, try to, like, there was like the Gunna Under Armour Burner Boy on take that I did on
Hmm.
Friday,
Yeah.
and someone was trying to say that I was, like, hating on Black Africans. And I was like, stop. I was like, you have no evidence to support this. Like, stop with
Right.
this. Don't make this up. I was like, because, and that's the stuff I have to jump in on, because like if somebody
Right.
casually passes by and they don't know who I am, I don't want them to
Yeah.
take that and think that's my character. So I'm like, I'll go in the comment on that and be like, all right, you gotta put some more on this. I was like, because
Mhm.
there's nothing that I said that would lead to that. That's more of a projection. So I need you to qualify that
Yeah.
assertion.
For
Maybe
sure.
like, because if I'm blind, cool, enlighten me. But that's
Right.
not what I did. And so I'm like, you gotta answer that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love
No,
that. Love how
it's
you do that. I mean, it's super objective and it's not combative, right? I mean, you're simply addressing, okay, this is not factual what you're saying. So give me something in feedback to make sure that I'm considering all those things that you may be considering as well. Because if there's something that I need to think about more, then I'm willing to think about it. I'm open minded to that. However, based on your comment, you're wrong.
No, yeah, because I love a healthy, like I did, and that's where I think a part of this reminds me of childhood, because I did grow up playing spades and dominoes and phase 10 and Uno at family gatherings. And my family, Lord, these people can scream. They're very loud. And as a I didn't get my growth spurt till I was like a junior. So I was just like 5, 6 trying to like find my voice in this family.
Wow.
And so now, when you find that, you're like, well, one, I appreciate anyone that takes the time to comment on
Mhm.
anything, because if you felt something, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, you
Right.
felt something, you commented, and like you could have just been passive and not said a thing. And so I do appreciate that. I think, for me, I try to remind people is like, yeah, sometimes I can get animated, sometimes I'll say some wild stuff. The end of the day, it is respectful. Like, I think you have to understand the line of like, it's respectful, it's objective. Like, I'm never like coming after somebody for wearing something or how they look or anything like that, because that's not what
Mhm.
this is about. This is about the context of a product at the end of the
Right.
day and what went into creating that product. And we're talking objectively about a thing. It's never okay to me to negatively um punch down on an individual,
hmm
right? Like, that to
Mhm.
me is not the point. And so when stuff like that happens, or I see stuff like that, I do feel like it's my responsibility to be a good community manager for the folks that are not here in my comments for that. They're not here for that. They're here to just talk about something they're passionate about. They're not here to get into a political conversation. They're not here to get into hate speech, none of that stuff. So I just try to clear that stuff out the way.
No doubt.
Yeah. No, you do a good job of it. And like I said, those comment sections are I could be stuck on one of your videos, listen to it on repeat when I'm just going through the comments
Just
trying to see
watching the
what people
comments.
Yeah, like it's fun stuff, man. It's fun stuff. So
Man.
no, and I think it's cool because like your background working with all these different brands and everything, you've been able to see a lot of different ins and outs of the industry from a lot of different perspectives. Have you ever like have the thought cross your mind like maybe I want to go back to one of these brands and try and bring some of the things that you learned to that brand to help them in any way, or is it more you still want to keep doing your own thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would never go back on the inside. And it's because I am so passionate about the vision that I have here on the outside.
Mhm.
But I'm always down to partner with, because I don't think you can do the outside without having support on the inside, right?
For
There's been
sure.
so many of my peers that have shown up for me in different ways, ways that I don't know about that I find out later, in ways that are direct, whether, they want to partner with me to do something, right? And so I think at the end of the day, I will always have love for the space, but it's just, my vision has gone far beyond working in those spaces. When I think of Collab Lab, man, I'm like, we're at 1% of what I aspire for us to do. And we're gonna make some great leaps in the next 6 months, right?
Mhm.
Um, to continue to grow that and sustain that. And
Yeah.
I just can't imagine a world where I don't get to build that. Now, I will partner with other companies and corporations across category to do things that allow us to do that, and that would be a benefit to them as well as it would be to Collab Lab. But
Yeah.
man, like I'm just like there's so much for us to do. Like it might not again like the next show. My next show is a long form collab lab, so I let a little bit of cat out of the bag. Long form collab lab's coming in February, and so
Wow.
because I can't give you like I've tested it enough. The market proof is there. Like I got proof of
For sure.
concept. But there are other shows, right? Like I want to have, I do want someone to have like a debate show on a Collab Lab platform. I want someone to have like a documentary based show. But for us to do that, right, we have to make sure we have the audience in place that welcomes the first thing, and then we can
Yeah.
build on top of that. And so I want to go into publication. I want to go into experiences. So there's so much that I'm like, that right there is like 10 years. So
Yeah.
and so I'm like, to be able to have the ability to build something last year at like such a minimal cost, right? Because I'm here in the
Mhm.
basement. And at that time, like last year, I was, doing everything. I was doing the researching, I was doing the scripting, I was doing the filming, I was doing the editing. Now I'm just the one doing the research and the scripting and the filming, and then the editing I send out to my editor. Thank God, and I share the stuff publicly because I want people to know like I have help, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
you're going to need to, as you grow in any business, you're going to have to delegate and you have to bring people in so you can focus on the growth. I just told y'all the growth. I can't do everything if I want to focus on growth. So I gotta, I have to expand. And so I'll be making some more of those investments this year too, because I just, this is the thing, this is the thing that I want to do. When you find that thing,
Yeah.
you got to figure out how to make it work. But I pay close attention to a lot of great leaders in the space and how they've
Mhm.
grown businesses and some of the tactics that they use. So like when I'm doing Collab Lab, at the same time, like a lot of that stuff is getting written into my own plan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And
Taking inspiration along the way.
Oh yeah.
absolutely. And I know, we'll talk more about this later, but, I was able to see you on stage last year at the Black Footwear Forum, and you were able to present Collab Lab from that, professorship type stage, right? And I just love the fact that, some people tune in because it's like tuning in for the news, right? It's like
Yeah.
what's the current event? Bima's gonna tell us. I don't have to go find it myself. But from a management school, like an MBA program, right? They would have us synthesize information. And, I like the fact that you go out, you take a lot of data and you synthesize that data and you bring it to us in such a way to where it's not like you're pushing information down our throats. You're asking a question. You're presenting information factually, and then you're asking a question to put us in the mindset of, oh, I didn't really think about it that way. And for me, that's like the gold in it, right? Because when your post doesn't hit my feed by a certain time in the day, like I go looking for it, like it has to be there. Like what's the next, set of information? What's the next data points that I need to be focusing on? Because I think it's like really good information, and it's stuff that I probably personally myself would not go out and search for because I just don't do that, right? I don't look in some of
You don't
those.
have time. You
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
you
I don't
got
No.
have time.
priorities.
Right.
You got priorities, But so I'm glad you touched on that because like the research aspect is like so important to me, and
Mhm.
I don't do a good enough job of telling people like the aspect of like the research side of what I do. And like when I did that talk at Black Footwear Forum,
Mhm.
we spent months like researching and trying to put together this curriculum. And I always say we because I always like circulate things with so many different people that I trust to get their take and opinion on things. I'm never really even if I'm in a silo. My work is never in a silo.
Mhm.
And when we do, like when I have to do this Foot Locker and A Bear take, right? My process is gonna be first. I need to like um refresh myself on that person's career. I need to know kind of like what were the places that they influenced within the brand, right? And then, what were some of the highlights of that? It's just helpful for me to know like this individual that I'm getting ready to like have an opinion on. I can't have an opinion if I'm not researched myself. And then from there, it's looking into the controversy that took place. But it's not just like watching a video. It's like, okay, I watched a video on this. I watched the YouTube on it. I watched the TikTok on it. I read the New York Times report on it. I read this other report. So I'm like, hey, I want to make sure I got a couple of different angles on this thing. And then I always tap in with what our community is saying, right? And so that's the other thing that I want to always know. I want to know, and a lot of times, we might not agree, but I want to know, at least want to know where y'all at. So, I'm like, this is gonna be one of them days where I'm about to get lit up in the comments, but here we go. But and so there's that research part. And then I really start to get into like pulling the insights from it, and I start asking myself questions back, right? And trying to see kind of like, okay, well, why would they do this? Or why would it make sense for Foot Locker to post Dick's acquisition to do this? What kind of brand issue, what brand message does it send to potential consumers? Does that encourage them to want to pull up to Foot Locker, or does it just add more harm to a brand that's already struggling? And so then I started to get into the place of that. And only really when I get to the end of that part do the jokes come.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yo, let's have some fun. Like, I grew up loving hip hop, so you're going to see some wordplay somewhere in there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think, and that's the beauty of it too, is because the internet, like, at least the algorithm rewards hot takes. But what you're doing isn't a hot take. It's an educated opinion. And, you see all those people that post their hot takes all the time. I mean, they're rage baiting people like crazy, but it gets engagement, that's what they want. But like, it's not just the engagement that you're trying to get, you're trying to create a dialogue, and try to get people talking and people doing research. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've commented on your videos like, oh, wait, let me make sure my facts are straight before I hit publish on this comment so I don't get flamed, So like, it's causing, at least me, I mean, it's causing people to hopefully do some research and educate themselves on things so they can formulate an educated decision instead of just throwing a hot take out there.
It just, it's you and I share a passion about the frustration around the intimidation, the Adidas intimidation, right? The intimidation low. Let's talk about the intimidation low. And, what was it? Andy, was it like earlier this year or last year? Like some stuff starts to I get lost on the timeline, but it was a bunch of comments about the this is Adidas continuing to ride the Yeezy wave, and they just ripped off Kanye's designs and like all of these things. And I was like, as someone who worked in that, I was like, first of all,
a thing or two.
This this feet you wear tooling is not Yeezy, okay? And the intimidation came before Yeezy, and it was dope before Yeezy. And I'm not taking anything away from your passion around Yeezy. I just want you to know and inform yourself that the brand existed before you found out about this particular sneaker. And it's okay. That shoe is dope. So is this one. And the new House Studios intimidation. Oh my goodness.
So
I think that I'm like, this is I've worn that shoe. I got that shoe last week. I've worn that shoe every day except one day since I got it.
Wow. Ooh, they're so good. The little touches they put on that, like, because I was comparing that to the Packer one that they did. And I was like, oh man, each of these are beautiful in different ways and so different. Because like I noticed right away that top eyelet isn't on the House Studios one to lace it. I was like, ooh, I like that. It's sleek. Like they're just good. And I always say, I say it to my students in the classroom too. I'm just like, you know, you hear the saying, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's educate yourself before you wreck yourself. Like I tell that to my students all the
Yeah.
time. Like before you open your mouth and like say something with passion, make sure you know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't be loud and wrong.
Yeah, that's it. Do not be loud and wrong. A lot of that going around.
A lot of
Oh
that
man,
going on.
so much of that going around. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my goodness. It's ridiculous.
So we
So
mentioned sneakers earlier in regards to some of the things that have recently come out. Do you have a bucket list of sneakers that you don't currently have that you're like, hey, I really want to go back and reach back and get some of those? Like,
Oh man,
I think
yeah.
we would assume that you have like a whole floor in your house that are full of sneakers. But you know, is there something that you would reach back to get if you had your druthers to go back and get it right now?
Yeah, so many things. Like, you know, on the like mainstream sneakers that most people know, I hadn't had white cement fours in like 16 years. So I got those
Whoa.
this year. I know they like at outlets at this point, but they meant something to
mhm.
me.
Yeah.
So I had to get my pair. But you know, beyond that, there's been a conversation circulating, which I think is dope, about the Union Air Force 180. That was the first collab I
Mm,
ever bought outside of Nike and Jordan.
wow.
That Union Air Force 180 I thought was it was a trip to New York, or was it LA? I'm starting to blur trips because I went to New York and LA like my senior year of high school, and I can't remember if I got that shoe then or if I got that shoe when I went to LA. But
Hmm.
regardless, um, I didn't know who Chris Gibbs was. I didn't know what Union was.
Yeah.
I didn't find out about that shoe online. I found out because I was in the store and I just gravitated towards those sneakers, and I want those again. I want those back
Wow.
in
Yeah.
my collection.
Yeah.
So those were crazy. Um, the uh, the Hawaii Dunk Low was
Yeah.
Mhm.
a remarkable sneaker with the patent leather around the toe guard.
Hmm.
That it was a great sneaker. There's a lot of dunks, just a lot of SBs that I really appreciated. Um, and then there's gosh, on the um on the Asics front, when Ronnie was going crazy on gel light threes,
Hmm.
I'm gonna butcher the name of these, but there is this the volcano joints that were on the cover of Sneaker Freaker. I think it was like 14, 15,
Okay.
and those joints from a color and materials standpoint, and when this is when everybody was doing the rope laces with
Yeah.
the like the
Mm.
Venom, um, those joints are crazy. And, so it's just, like, little ones like that from, like, you know, different guys that we see, in it,
Hmm.
that I like, you know, Vashti's Jordans, you know, would be
Yeah.
great. You know, like, just
Absolutely.
these little moments that you didn't get to have access to the original Tiffany, Diamond Dunk Low. I
Hmm.
remember being in LA for that, and I remember the line, at Diamond Supply for that, and I was like, "That is a gorgeous sneaker."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one, like, my whole philosophy is to re-release everything. Like, there are some people that want certain things staying in the vault, but for me, re-release everything. I have what in my mind I call a crumble date. So if a shoe gets
Mm,
to a point to where it crumbles, you know, or it's around that time frame for it to start crumbling and it becomes unwearable, then the brands need to re-release it because
yeah,
that's how things live, right? I mean, they re-rack
mm,
movies every 8 to 10 to 15 years. Why not re-rack sneakers, you know?
That's a
yeah,
good
it's
perspective.
a good perspective. How you feel about the
Yeah.
undefeated fours? Did you go after them? Did they
I
mean something
did.
to you?
I
Yeah.
did. They meant something for me personally, from the standpoint of the whole military, the olive drab. You know, my dad was in the army, 173rd Airborne, and you know, I kind of grew up with that whole mindset. And I told somebody that olive drab kind of, flows through my veins because, that's just one of the colors that I gravitate to. So that sneaker for me, for a couple of reasons. First, like it was not available to the masses before.
Mm-mm.
And then second off, just to have the opportunity to have it and have it in a form to where we could actually wear it and utilize it currently and let the life of that sneaker live on. Like I really wanted to be a part of that. So I'm super happy that they re-released that. I ended up with two pair.
Look at him.
Not because
There
I
you go.
wanted to,
Elbowing.
but with a sneaker like that, you end up like entering more raffles and
Yep.
reaching out to resources, just with the thought that I'm not going to get it, so I need to make sure I maximize every opportunity. And it ended up being to where I did hit. I think I got a notification around 4:30 that afternoon Eastern time that I had hit, but I had a buddy in LA who had gone for him as well, and he hit, so I got lucky on that. Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
At least it wasn't like too many raffles to where you got to like,
Yeah.
eat
Right.
ramen for a month.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What do you guys think about them?
I like them. I love the color on them. My only gripe was like I haven't really seen like the original pair too much in person.
Mm.
Like I've seen them, in some people's crazy collections and things like that. I
Mhm.
think it was cool for the brand to release something like that at this stage so that a younger audience can have like a physical connection to the story that was told way back.
Yep.
My only gripe was just I get them and I was like, it just I didn't feel like the quality was what I was expecting it to
Hmm.
be for something
Mm.
like that. And I was like, that was my only letdown with them. It was like maybe I held it on too high of a pedestal,
Mm.
personally, but then like I still have to appreciate for what it is, even if there are some quality issues that weren't really favorable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough with the retro. Not because there's anything wrong with the retro. I think it's the when something's been a unicorn for so long, it's
Mm,
hard to be like, oh, it's a real, like it's here. And like,
Right.
I don't know, there's something about the chase of it that
mhm,
just like stays with you. And you're like, one day, like I remember when oh man, this was a crazy story, y'all. I had when the Nike Yeezy one was coming out in 2008. And then I think the black pair was in 2009 and the tan pair was 2009 too. But um I was trying so many different things to try to get this sneaker. And it was this is also at a time, keep in mind, this is at a time where mainstream culture has no idea about sneakers or sneaker
Mhm.
resale or the value of sneakers. So for the
Right.
most part, no one cares. No one
mhm,
like I know there was like big deals made in like sneaker media and all these things, but to everyone else,
Yeah.
like not compared to today, it was not like it was just a regular Saturday.
Yep.
And
right.
I remember when the world found out, like I was like, the streets found out you could flip sneakers. And I went to go get these Yeezys and they had the black and pink joints and they lied to me. I got there was only a 13 left, and they were selling them for $400. This is a normal retail shop. What they're doing is
Wow.
illegal.
Ooh,
There's no way to report them. Like this ain't you can't just
right.
like blast them on social or whatever.
Right.
And so I got a 13 that I can't do nothing with. And I remember, man, I had to go all the way back home. I like had to figure out how to like trade with somebody to like just get some money back off this loss. So I'm bummed because I had to drive to New Orleans. Like,
Oh.
ain't nothing worse than driving somewhere and taking an L. I could take an L from my couch and be good, but to
Yeah.
waste the gas money, dog, I was like, yo, I'm tight. I am tight. And so this is when I say like sneaker community is a real thing.
Mhm.
Is my homies at the time, and clearly I share um um a passion and a regard for the artist formerly known as Kanye West. I don't know about that other guy.
Yeah.
But they knew that. And so politics in Lafayette at the time, got a size run the, um, of the Yeezys, and, man, I entered that raffle. I ended up winning them joints. I'm not gonna say nothing about nothing. I won
Yeah.
them, and I was so happy, man, to have those sneakers, man. I was like, because that was, like, the first of the first. Like, that's y'all probably noticed this about me by now, is, like, I love when someone does something new or we
Yes.
haven't seen or they flipped it and it's not just the same thing. I love it when, we get these rare opportunities of like an experience that we haven't had before. It's like a kid going to Disney World for the first time, or
Yeah.
a sneakerhead going to Complex Con for the first time after they've seen it, however many times or whatever, or going to like uh a Jay-Z concert and you
Oh yeah.
realize he got so many hits. um, it's like that. And that's what that moment was for me with that sneaker. And I'm like, "Man, like, Imma always love this." Like, that's
Yeah.
the part that I'm always gonna love. I got rid of them. I only have, like, one day, I'll figure out a way I can share them with people, but, I only have a couple pair of,
Mm.
Yeezy anything, anymore, and I kept the one I can mention is I kept the $200 million day pair that we did. That was when we
Mm.
did
Oh
the
wow.
white on white 350 V2s. I think it was like the last thing I might have keyed into the system before I had to get up out of there. Um, but like there's a 350 V3 version that never came to the marketplace, and I have
Ooh,
samples of
okay.
those. There's a quantum basketball um that, is triple black, and it's not the quantum basketball that y'all saw. It's the one that
Mm.
Oh
we had
wow.
approved for February 2018, did everything to get it ready, and, he decided he didn't wanna move forward with those, and so, like, I have those as well, and I'm like, "Those I have to keep on. I have to keep all of these."
Oh, for sure. Is
Absolutely.
it just like even just as your time there, or just as something like, memory, historical context, what have
Yeah,
you? Like
Hmm.
that's
yeah,
the beauty of some of this stuff is like, you know, the historical side or those personal like connections and meanings to it. Cause like you have those, that means something completely different to you than
Yep.
if someone else were to have it, you know?
yeah, no, I was in, we took a vacation like 2 weeks ago. We went to Maui and I just hit the block and I saw some kid on a trail in a Yeezy 500, and I was like, I remember being in the factory working on those. Like, I try not to carry the other stuff with me and just appreciate the
Mhm.
product and like that moment of working with my team and my
Yep.
colleagues who I'm still friends with to this day, to be a part of those moments. And it's just like, yeah, you do it because of the moments. You don't do it because of like you do it at the moment and the people. You don't really, like
Oh,
the
for sure.
sneaker is like a representation of it at the end of the day. But that kid had no idea, and I'm like, he probably think I'm weird because I keep staring at his feet.
It's
But I'm
like,
like,
"Who's coming through my feet?"
I ain't had a pair of Desert Rats since 2018, dog. So I just was looking.
Right. Right.
It's taking me back. Just let me look for a minute. Stop walking so fast.
No doubt.
Oh, that's
Um,
funny. That just made me think though, because like then like even back when like the Yeezy One came out with Nike,
mm,
just the monumental moment that was as far as like a collaboration goes, where in today's market is very different. You're seeing these collaborations, like I said earlier, like every week we're seeing stuff come out. And in my personal opinion, I feel like that can water down the special nature of what a collaborative project is. And I guess from your perspective and from your experience, what in today's world would make like a collaboration really just stand out above others?
Mhm.
I think when you have a marketplace where you start to see a pattern of the consistency of what gets accepted or what people decide to focus on and do, and I think the thing that we're all waiting for is someone who has the audacity to do something that's different than what's in the marketplace and for it to hit. The hitting it part is the
Mhm.
part that is really hard, much harder today because we've seen so much and the
Yep.
brands aren't innovating as quickly enough to give you something that you're like, "Oh." this is crazy. It's harder for all the parts to align because everyone's moving so quickly and so fragmented, so that when something happens, we see a lot of projects that are like people like, but it's because they don't realize that there's the bar can be pushed higher. And so,
Hmm.
Okay.
for example, um, always candidly, honestly speaking, the prime example of this debate topic is the Kith Wallaby Ultra Boost, right?
Hmm.
Mm,
And a part of me is I like the audacity. I like the audacity to continue to try to potato head. That's what we call it in the industry, potato head, right? You're trying to bring two things
Hmm.
together, create something new. And I appreciate the audacity of it. Do I think it's a direct hit? No. I think
mm,
there's just something about it that doesn't quite, appeal beyond a niche audience. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just
yeah.
means like it's not, an outright commercial success. And we don't need always outright commercial success. Like for far as I know, that could be Ronnie um calculating something to then give you the next version of it that might be commercial. I don't know, but we've
Yeah.
seen the guy do stuff like that all the time. Um, Look at Roshi Run.
Hmm.
Unexpected. Unexpected. It's a
Yeah.
great price point. Wasn't supposed to be a thing. And it's like it was a thing. Like you couldn't stop people from getting multiple pairs of these things. And it sat next to Vans and it sat next to Chucks. And it wasn't about price point. It was about like it was simply unique, it was fresh, and a lot of people we just got on the train.
Yeah.
Flyknit Racer. I love
Mhm.
Hmm.
Flyknit Racer, fam. Like I love what that era of knit and I think we went a little crazy with the sockless stuff, but is what it is. When Salehi flipped the Crocs clog, like this is the stuff I'm like, yeah, this is where it is exciting and where we
Yeah.
we should be celebrating. But it does get tough when, you know, people say we want that and then like we don't celebrate those attempts, and I'm like, that's true. Like we don't do enough of celebrating the attempts. We do get more caught up on like, well, it wasn't an all out hit. I'm
Right.
not putting those on, whatever the
Right.
case may be. And so we do, more times than not, people get more excited about colorways of models that they've seen. But we have to, and I think also the designers and the teams working on that, you got to figure out how you get to the point of the sweet spot, the tipping point, right? Where you meet,
Oh, for
those two
sure.
things meet. And I think more than ever, we have to take a step back and look at, okay, what is the marketplace asking for? What hasn't been done right now? What are people wearing? Where are they going? What would they not expect, to happen from a collaborative standpoint? What's also a space that people wouldn't even expect, the concept or idea going into? I think
Mhm.
that's where we gotta get to. And we need these companies to come with new tech that actually is
Hmm.
useful, that
Yeah.
resonates with people. Because I don't know about y'all, but I don't remember any new tech right now.
I haven't
No.
seen anything. And, it's interesting because like, and the more relationships that I've been able to build with people in companies and with the space, it's like you have the designers, you have the marketing people, you have the head honchos, the board, all these people trying to do something, and a lot of times there's going to be button heads, and I feel like some of the nuances in the stories that the consumers would appreciate can get kind of lost in that shuffle of like approval and feedback and all of these things. And stories that could come from the perspective of any of these people that could be meaningful to the consumer, it's hard to get those out, and it's kind of sad in some regard. And so that's why, again, we appreciate what you do, Bima, is you dig in and you get those
Yeah.
details, to try to present those to people so that they can see that kind of stuff. And I guess
It's
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say bureaucracy. At the end of the day, it's the
Mhm.
bureaucracy that makes it a little bit more challenging. Ever since, executive leadership, especially when you're looking at the bottom line, found out that you can put volume behind these unique and niche projects and that they could do volume. Like,
Mhm.
when we were at Adidas, they called it volume hype. And
Wow.
Mm.
you imagine when you find out that, oh, wait, we could do, and this is when it was very hot. We could do 3 weekends back to back of 500,000 pair drops, and it'll liquidate.
Wow.
Bet. We gonna do that every month. And it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, you can't do that every month.
It's wild. I mean, it's hard because like we want like consumers and people, we want the art, but then the business side of it, they need dollars,
They
and
need
it's hard
dollars.
to
Mhm.
get those things to line up sometimes. But
Yeah.
follow-up question too is like with all that being said, with the whirlwind of releases that we have had this year, what are some of the things that have stood out to you, whether it's a collaborative project or not? What has stood out to you in sneakers this year?
That's a great question. I probably said this earlier, gave it away, but, the Intimidation, the House Studios Intimidation I'm a big fan of those. I love what Vandy the Pink did with the Gel Nimbus 10.1.
Mhm.
Both colorways, I wish I have the yellow ones. I want the pink ones, Vandy. Um, I, uh, I I also love, Sleeper because I know, the model isn't everyone's favorite, but, I love Mamine's New Balance. Um, and, I've been wearing way too much, especially because I only have 1 pair of them, so I need to, like, probably sunset these. Um, the, um the Bape Kid
Mm.
Super, I love that project. I really love that project. And then the ones that I also have 1 pair of that I try not to wear too often that I think a lot of people forgot about are the 991 V2 from Salehi that came out at the top of the year.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's a great project. Yeah, that's those have been I can't give away too much because I'm doing a
Yeah,
list
yeah,
again this
yeah.
year.
Of course, I didn't want you to spill the beans, but
But those are on the radar for sure. And I just, I continue to try to think about, you know, brand cross like multiple brands that like have been punching above their weight in instances where like usually people are like Nike, Jordan, all day long, but I think there's a lot of brands that have put out again great work this year that I think stands next to a lot of big brands.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree
absolutely.
100%, and I love it. I love it. Um, so in the sneaker culture, streetwear tends to prevail in regards to the fashion side of it. But, from your perspective and all the research that you do and kind of looking at things from different angles, what do you think about the evolution of streetwear? Is it stagnant? Is it the same? Or is it something that you see that's kind of moving and evolving in such a way to where it could kind of help move the culture forward?
Streetwear is healthy in my regard in the sense that there's a lot of newness happening all the
Mhm.
time. I
Yeah.
think the challenge is that newness becoming emerging as the next crop of recognizable brands. That is
Mhm.
the challenge that we're having right now because there's so many and you don't know what's going to be here tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like I'm gonna focus on what's been here, even if it may not be exceptional, versus like getting into something that's coming up. I think Hellstar is doing a better job of like establishing themselves as like we're gonna be here. Like the
Mhm.
NIL deals that they just did. They
Mhm.
got the
Yeah.
Adidas deal now that they just did. They're showing up in person, so I think they're putting their stake in the ground to say like, hey, we want to be one of the next ones to be regarded coming up. I it kind of feels like the same problem you have in music where there's so many like viral hits,
Yeah.
but because there's so many, you don't feel the need to commit to anybody because you're like, well, there's gonna be
Yeah.
a new one next week. There's
For
gonna be a
sure.
Yeah.
different t-shirt next week. Somebody's gonna have a pair of shorts next week.
Right. Right.
You know, it's like who is like consistently able to like punch through the noise and create a brand.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that is we need some of these brands to really one, they gotta figure out how to get funding so they actually can do that. But
Hmm.
two, they have to even think for themselves in a longer term sense of how do you create staying power? Are we even doing the things to try to have staying power? And so that's, to me, I think streetwear is in a fine place. It has to figure out in this kind of shuffle what's emerging as the brands that we remember and care about. Because I see a lot of great projects, but I don't, and I think so many people rely too much on like sneaker collabs for that visibility. Like it's just like
Mhm.
you got to take the time to put the thing together to be consistent.
Right.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any
Yeah.
brands come to mind for y'all that y'all are like, you're like actually like, yeah, I like this brand.
Like the older I get, the less connected I am with like the clothing side of things.
Mhm.
And I try to stay more relevant with it, but um it's just interesting because my perspective is it's like here I am older, I just had my birthday. I'm 38. I don't care if y'all know how old I am, but um like our generation, we've kind of seen things, and what we appreciate now comes from a place of nostalgia, at least for me. And these younger kids, like the kids that I'm able to work with in the classroom, none of them know who Mike is. Like they just know Michael Jordan is this old dude who's got a lot of money and invests
Yeah.
in NASCAR. Like they don't know him as the basketball player that we knew him as a kid. So it's like these kids are not connected to Jordan Brand the same way we are connected to Jordan Brand and some of these legacy, releases that we have. And I've always like, and I mull it over all the time, like how can these brands, streetwear or sneakers, connect to this younger audience that isn't relying so much on nostalgia? And it's tough. It's tough.
It's
I
tough.
haven't I haven't been able to wrap my head around that.
I think they have to, as long as brands have access to the older stories, it's gonna be hard for them to fully not detach themselves, but really, you know, push themselves to grow the next wave. And
Yeah.
so, I think Nike has made a good attempt at that with Travis, but with Travis, I feel like they have overinvested. And I think, with Travis, they should have had like 4 or 5 other people, right?
Yeah.
Different vehicles that they could put, sneakers against to grow those brands. And, it's the problem with, putting everything on one individual is then when the market feels a little bit saturated with that individual, what else do you have to capture the
Right.
market's attention at all levels, right? Like, because I'm like, you got to play the game commercially, and then you got to play it
Hmm.
locally, you got to play it regionally, you got to play it in these different pockets, and there's gaps.
Yeah.
Adidas has gaps. I think MB might be doing it better than a lot of folks right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And like as far as like the apparel piece, I try to look at it from the standpoint of access because you can go Rude and go some of you can go Louis V, that kind of stuff. But how many people can really afford to like pick up multiple pieces of that type of stuff? I know personally I can't, right? I have a couple of Rude pieces, but I can't just go out and buy a whole fit of Rude or y'all talking about ramen noodles earlier. It'd be worse than that. Um,
Have to split that back in half.
but, brands like Honor the Gift, they have
Yeah.
really good quality and then they have a price point to where it kind of allows for access for you know different demographics, right, and social economic situations. So I kind of look at it from that standpoint: is am I buying something that other people have access to? And I tend to kind of go with that because quality for me is huge, and I think Honor the
Mhm.
Gift does a really really great job of having really great quality, pretty good designs and stuff like that. But it also has a price point to where it's accessible to just more than one type of demographic. So I try to support local brands a lot. I try to support people that have put their creativity out there for other people to see and kind of taking a chance and figured out what are resources that it took to actually, put a brand out, and I try to support them. Locally here in Atlanta, there's a lot there's a new brand that pops up every day, right? So it's not like you can support every one of them, but I try my best to do it that way. And then I kind of have like my style isn't necessarily in one swim lane, right? It kind of just as I wake up, I kind of figure out how I want things to kind of come together. So I try to figure out things that are universal and that are timeless because I don't throw things away. So I might wear something from 20 years ago and somebody's like, well, I think I had on a crew neck sweat pullover about 2 weeks ago. And my daughter said, hey, I want that. I was like, well, this thing's 20 years old. I probably can't get it for you, but I appreciate you saying that it's pretty dope. But, I try to make sure that things are timeless.
And he noticed, he said, I can't give it to you either.
Right. No. She can't.
Dad knows there.
Yo, that was funny.
I got to hold on to it a little while longer.
I'm gonna be in trouble as soon as my kids get old enough to fit anything that I'm doing. I'm gonna have to put a lock on this basement door. I tell you,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Goodness. So no, I think too, when you were talking there, Gabe, I think supporting like local stuff, like, yeah, we have like these mainstay. I think these bigger brands have a way of, connecting with people. But I think where streetwear is really cool is like, the origins, I guess, of streetwear weren't from the big brands. Like it was from these smaller brands, these skate brands, these other brands, and eventually they became big. So I think that's the root of it. Like if we want fresh stuff like that, you got to kind of give these smaller brands trying to put their name out there and do dope stuff and just stuff that resonates, with you on a personal level.
100%. Like, I wear this Eastside Golf bucket, so often, and they're like, appreciative of like me, wearing it. And then, a friend of mine's a artist out of Seattle, and she made like this chocolate hoodie with like her art embroidered in like a cream embroidery on the front. And I was like, yeah, I need that, so I'm with you. Like, I'm like, I know these people. If I can help, bring awareness to what they do and it's meaningful to their business, like I get more out of that than I do wearing a lot of the other brands. And again, not taking anything away from these other brands, not taking anything from anyone who wears these other brands. Like again, like we have the freedom of choice to wear what we want, and that's fly, and we should. It's just preference.
Yeah.
Sure.
Less about like, at least in my opinion, less about like status, like, oh, look at me, I got this. It's like, nah, that's dope. I love what you're doing. I love what you're creating, and I want to wear stuff that's dope. Doesn't matter if it's, reselling for $1,000 or if it's just something that you hand stitch. Like, if it's dope, I'll wear it.
Absolutely.
I'm so disconnected from resale pricing on
Oh, bro.
anything. Like I have no idea what happens in that world unless I have to know. And like, there's stuff like, yes, sometimes I do get stuff early. I have no idea a lot of the times when stuff's releasing. And so I'll just be putting it on. I'll be like, I like this, and I don't, I don't like a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff I get that I just never share because I'm like, it's not for me. And I'm like, I usually share stuff because I'm like, this is what I actually like today. And it's just always been that way. I'm just like, there's stuff I like that like my homies are like, that's atrocious.
And you're like, all right.
It's just like certain models, they like, nah, nah.
Well, that's the goodness
that's
in
friendship
it.
for you.
Yeah, but that's the goodness in it is because I come from the era of like you don't bite people, right? That was the terminology. You don't bite, and you can take something that nobody else likes, and you can make it fresh. You can make it dope, and you can kind of pull it off. Like to me, that's what's really fun, and that's the good part about the culture is when you don't look like a cookie cutter. You taking something that nobody else may not necessarily like, and you made it dope. So I love that part. I was young, but I remember, before it was called streetwear, I remember how, girls used to take, two polos, put them on, and pop up the collars. They were two different colors.
Mhm.
It's just the originality and the things that people can put behind their own style. You want to be yourself, and that's the part that I love about it so much, is just being able to have an opportunity to be myself.
1000%. I think that's the point,
Yeah.
is expression of who you are and what's your unique story is the reason
Mhm.
why you would gravitate towards certain things and not, rock other things, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we gotta talk about Collab Lab. I know we've been talking about a whole bunch of stuff, but it is much more than an IG update. Like,
Mm,
we hear Collab Lab, a lot of people that follow on IG, and there's a lot of people that dig deeper, right? You send the response back when we comment certain things, you allow us access to certain information and stuff like that. But, what's the overall objective of Collab Lab, and kind of break down what the role of a chief collab officer is? I love that.
Yeah, man. Collab Lab is the thinking is that for me, I'm not saying one day I might not, but today I'm not. Today I'm not a professor. I
Mhm.
am the internet's professor.
Yeah.
And one day Andy's gonna get me. But today I'm an internet professor. And I always thought about how, man, I've loved this space, and now I found this community of people that love this space. And some of them love it because they want to collect. Some of them love it because they want to work in the space.
Mhm.
And some of them love it because they want to go create things as entrepreneurs. And so when I'm sharing, I think I'm in a lab class. And in this lab class, I want to unpack what's happening for you so you can decide to do with it what you wish. Whether you want to
Mhm.
go buy the kicks, you want to make the kicks, or you want to market the kicks,
Yeah.
or the product, I should say. And so I realize a lot of times, right, in the marketplace, we've seen several complaints about complacency. We've seen
Mhm.
complaints about lack of innovation, lack of better storytelling. And the reason why I start so many of my takes off with the problem is so that I can talk you through the solution. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
times, you're not going to pay attention to the take if I don't tell you what's wrong. And so I have to
Oh, yeah.
address what's wrong so that I can then tell you this is why this happened, or this is how this could be different. And so I think for a lot of folks, this has been the first time that someone who's had inside experience, and outside experience has decided to figure out a way to communicate this succinctly in a way
Yeah.
that people can digest. And it does create some pieces of discomfort, because we are in a marketplace that most other media, no one ever says anything challenging about a product. Like, it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen in like our big sneaker spaces. And a lot of that has to do with the money infrastructure and how
Mhm.
the media and that money exchanges hands. And if somebody is an advertiser for you, and they want certain things, and most of your advertising comes for those people, it's hard to put out a story that could jeopardize that money, right?
Yeah.
And so the editorial takes a hit, right? And so in sneaker media, we our editorial tends to always blur with our branded content. So it makes it hard for a lot of voices to share their honest opinion when your revenue line is directly connected to
Yeah. Absolutely.
the how you make a brand feel.
Yeah.
And the thing that I have the luxury of is that I have met a lot of the people whose projects I speak on, whether
Mhm.
I've met them because they work internally at a place, or because I've met them because they're a designer on something. And so there is a degree to which some of them give me passes because we have met, and so they don't take it personally. They
Yeah.
know I'm not like being vindictive. They know I'm not like necessarily out here just for clicks.
Yeah.
They know that I'm coming from a place of educating the next up. And I'm like, if I don't tell them where this misstep happens, how young cats coming up are. They
Yep.
respond to what they are their world is shaped around. We all do. And if I
Right.
don't tell them that, yo, oh man, that's thin ice, don't walk there. If I don't tell them that and they walk on the ice, I feel like that's on me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think about, like, I'm here in the capacity first to educate. The second capacity is to entertain. I do want it to be entertaining because I want you to watch.
Of
But
course.
my
Right.
first
Right.
capacity that I want is for it to be educational, because I think it helps the marketplace if the next people that are working on projects, if they took something from a video and they were like, ah, yeah, I remember when Bimma said, think about it this way, and then they did something and they like had this crazy successful collab. That's the win to me.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the win to me. And then ultimately, it's like being able to do this over years and years of time and being able to put out information and allowing us all to have conversations about it, bring more voices in to share different perspectives in different formats. That to me is the real vision and the real reason why I do it. And it's also because I came up and I didn't have that information, and so
Yeah.
there's a lot of spaces and things that I navigated where, if I can make someone else's path shorter, I'd love to. I can't say you're not gonna make mistakes. I hope you make mistakes.
Yep.
um,
Yep.
That's
you
part of the
you you
process.
know,
Learning is,
it's
yeah.
part of the process, and if you got any creative bones in your body, you likely not gonna initially listen to the feedback you get the first time anyway. So
Yeah.
it's just the nature of the beast, right? Like you're like, he a unk now. He don't know,
Yeah.
and so, the younger folks than me are gonna go do their thing anyway. But I'll be here when the questions come around in the DMs always and all that stuff,
Mhm.
to break it down in a way that might not be uh advantageous to someone who's on the inside that might send me that information anyway to then allow me to translate it anyway.
For
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody like that you bounce ideas off like before you do it?
Oh,
Like how
oh,
much of this conversation do you have with your wife or like
oh,
any
oh, she
people
used to get
before
so
you?
tired of me. Oh, she used to get so tired of me. Oh, especially because, like, I used to, like, last year, um, anytime I had to say something where I was like, "Oh, this is so critical." Like, I would, it get in my energy, and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't I don't feel like dealing with this today."
Right. Right.
And then, I'll put it out, and I'm like, here we go. Here we go. I gotta
Mhm.
deal with this. I said it, so I gotta face it. And
Yeah.
I'd run stuff by her because I was just so uncomfortable with the discomfort of the opposition. Particularly because, mindset and just like, oh man, I don't want people to take it personally. And now I'm like, it's not personal. And
Mhm.
also I realize that even when I say something in a certain way, someone's gonna find something different or
Oh
wrong
yeah.
about it
Yeah.
anyway,
Yep.
and I just gotta do me anyway. But like last week, I did a take about Drake and Amazon, and I was like, historically, I've been on record saying that I felt like Kendrick washed him last year, and I stand by
Mhm.
that. But
Yeah.
I can also acknowledge if he did something that was dope. And I said the
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Amazon play was smart for Drake.
Super
And do
smart.
you know
Absolutely.
someone was in the comments saying, "Why are you hating on Drake?" And I was like, I could have swore I just said this was
Right.
good.
Oh
Right.
man.
Right.
They take a small piece of the puzzle and then they run with it.
Oh my
Goodness.
goodness.
I was like,
Goodness.
I
That's like
said that I was like, I had to rewatch the video. And I was like, did I not say this was good? I was like, yep.
Yeah.
I
it's like
said it then. I said
scroll
it
ahead to this like time marker here and see
Yeah.
exactly what I said. Like I said
Yeah.
that.
then. I was like, I
That's
said
amazing.
this. And so that's the stuff where you get, you're like, yo, I gotta fall back and I gotta let the cousins handle it today.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Go take care of it. Oh, that's funny. It's like
But
anytime like I'll say something like I like to get a little wordy in my captions sometimes, and
no,
I'm
I
sure
love it.
not a lot of people read those, and so you can tell when people don't read those. It's like, no, I said that. Like it's right here. Like it's in the caption. I got you though. Handshake
I,
emoji. We're cool. Like we
Right.
got it.
Right.
sometimes you gotta I also have to, like, because the internet can be such a keyboard warrior place, I have to talk
Mhm.
Mhm.
myself into like, no, assume positive intent, assume that question didn't come from a place of trolling,
Yeah.
and just ask again. Ask again to see what the response is before I come to a conclusion that, someone is being malicious.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a practice, because you go into some of these places and, online, and you're just like, it just feels malicious.
Oh yeah. Sneaker Twitter. Excuse me.
Right. Right.
That's why I don't
Right.
get on there. That's why I don't get on there.
Yeah, I do. I stay away from that, man. It's I don't know. I call it a cesspool. I
It's
stay
too
away
much
from it.
going on over there for me. Too
Yeah,
much for my spirit.
Oh man.
absolutely, absolutely. So, as the voice of collabs, you have recently sat down at 21 Mercer with Jeff Staples, and in Paris, France with Pharrell Williams and others. Talk about, what those conversations mean to the culture, and explain, the Collab Lab's overall goal for participating in those type of moments.
Yeah, I'm a storyteller, first and foremost. And so any
Mhm.
opportunity that I have for what I feel may be a gap in the storytelling marketplace, I want to be able to tell it. I also want to be a part of documenting the whole story beyond when it
Mhm.
gets to the marketplace, but like the how did it get to the place before it got to the marketplace is where I feel like, the lane that I typically like to play in the most.
Yeah.
And so, when you get to Paris and like you get to do Saucony and J Tips, like I'm gonna talk to Tips. Like I love
Absolutely.
this guy's story. Like I
Yeah.
love how he handles himself. I love how he's continued to evolve his brand. And I feel like I really there's a conversation he and I had last 2 years ago that still never made it to the internet yet. I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
just release it. But I just love being able to get into those narratives. But when I think about that, the goal is to just bring people together. We
Mhm.
rarely have opportunities in this space outside of like SneakerCon and outside of Complex Con, where we can come together just on the storytelling tip, not necessarily on the commerce tip. And I
Yeah.
think the commerce part is dope. Like if I can connect that to the commerce, yeah, absolutely. But I'm thinking like sometimes it's just like, man, I just want to pull up on a Friday and go kick it with the homies and
Yeah.
like, talk sneakers, but talk other stuff. And like being able to share in that fellowship together.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, it's like going to the coffee shop, but like we don't have a lot of that outside of like a pickup, these days,
Right.
a raffle or whatnot. And so when you do 21 Mercer in New York, I'll tell you, I was floored. I'll be honest. I told Jeff I was floored when we talked through the idea. It's one thing to have as an independent storyteller to have the trust and respect of your peers in the space. And I said peers funny because even I was like peers, but
Yeah.
more so maybe like people I look up to that respect my voice, that believe that I'm going to have a careful approach with their story and sharing that in the marketplace. And to get to New York, that was that February, and to walk the streets and people are recognizing and people are waiting to coming to an event of people talking,
Yeah.
and I'm one of the people talking. I was like, "This is
Yeah.
crazy. This is just
Yeah.
this is
That's
this is
so dope.
crazy to me,"
Yeah.
especially because most of my time is online. And so to
Yeah.
go in person and you see people actually show up, that to me is just like it's mind blowing because you're like, oh, this is, it's real. You know, it's not just on the internet. Like people really resonate and care about this too. Like I care about stories and the insights. Like I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm not like on an
Mhm.
island.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to bring that to more places. I want to grow this community. As there's many people. I want to do more things globally. I want to do more things in middle of America, in the South, and on
Yeah.
the coast.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
Atlanta.
I wanna come. I told KO, "Stop playing, let's do something." So,
Yeah.
I'm about it, man. Like, I genuinely this is what I get excited to do. There's any day where, like, I went on vacation, and, that first day was hard because I was like, "Man, there was a story I wanted to talk about." And I was like, "I'm not
Mhm.
doing it. I'm on
Yeah.
vacation." And so
No
when I
doubt.
got back, I was ready, I'm ready to go. Tonight, I'm ready to go, pen to paper. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. I genuinely love it. And so I just want to be able to have that impact on the world. I want to be able to share those things, and I want to be able to provide tools where people can enrich their lives with the information.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure. No, and I think you're doing that like online conversation, but even like you said, some of the in-person stuff. And I feel like those are more valuable than what we can participate in online and these comment sections or these replies or anything like that because you're there, you're engaged with these people, you can get a feel for them and other people and develop those relationships. And I mean that's community. And
Yeah.
online community is great, but I feel like it's just a complementary piece of what like actual community is, connecting and participating with each other in real life.
Man, look, nothing better than going to a live sporting event or some sort of event and
Mhm.
having a shared experience with other humans there live.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
hard
Mhm.
to sit there on your phone when, you watching Steph Curry do what Steph Curry does live, or
Goodness.
whomever,
Right.
you
Yeah.
admire watching. If whomever that is, LeBron, whomever that is, like, it's hard to be on the phone when they literally are performing art in front of you. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's humanity. That's what makes us click. And so
Yeah.
like I always, I tell my kids and a little bit of understanding that I have with it in the classroom is like all of our senses need to be engaged when
Mhm.
we're having, experiences. Because if those senses can be engaged, like those are how memories are made. Those how our, impactful moments last with us and they're so important. But speaking of that, um, what is some advice that you've received in your career? Because I mean, you've done a lot. You've been with a lot of different brands. You've interacted with a lot of people. What's some advice that's been super impactful for you?
Um, I would say there's a couple of different things. One of the first things I would share, is vision is singular.
I
And
love it.
what that means is that, coming to the table with a vision and trying to create that with a party of people when you haven't figured out the vision yet is likely means it's gonna go nowhere,
Mhm.
because there has to be the North Star. Someone has to have the passion to say, "This is the North Star." And so whether you are operating as an individual or multiple people, you have to figure out what that thing is, and it takes time. You have to stew on it. You have to try things. You have to fail at things. You have to observe what other people are doing. You have to be a follower. And a
Yeah.
lot of times people don't want to be a follower. They want to be the leader. And as cheesy as it may sound, you cannot lead until you have followed. And even when
Yeah.
you lead, you still have to follow someone or
100%.
something, some
Yep.
sort of thinking, some sort of whatever. And so you can't be in a place of ego where you can't humble yourself to be that student, to figure out what that vision is, and bring that to life. Second thing I would say is, uh, it's be brief, be bold, be gone.
Yeah.
Communication structure, communication framework. This is what I learned at Nike, and a lot of times, when folks are communicating ideas, they waste too much time not giving you the headline first that's gonna capture you,
Mhm.
and then they don't do a good enough job of being bold in, like, what the idea is, and then they're not brief enough, and the problem with that is you lose people because they
Mhm.
have 1,001 things. And what is the most important thing to you is likely the least important thing to them. That's
Mhm.
just the way life goes. And so you have to keep that in mind. And so you have to initially hit them with something that's going to meet them at what their need is, what their pain point is. And then you give them a little more meat on the bone, and then you
Mhm.
give them, and then you say, if there's more to it, can I share more, or is there another time where I can share more? And this is
Yeah.
important when you're dealing with communicating ideas, if you're trying to do partnerships with brands, if you're trying to recruit people to film with them, like you gotta be snappy until
Yeah.
they,
Oh, for sure.
until they want it, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so that's one of the things. And then now I'm in a phase of, I'm in a growth phase right now. Like I built the foundation of my new thing, and now I'm in the growth phase.
Yep.
And that growth phase requires help. Um, I am I am beyond the place of I need credit for everything. I don't care. I don't at this point I do not. What I care
Mhm.
about is can we make the vision real? And
Yeah.
who who can help make this vision real? I don't know how to do
Yeah.
this. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Will you help me? What what is it? What's the exchange? I'm like, who can help?
Yeah.
So, and that's the only way that I get from this foundational phase to the next phase that I want to get to is going to require people with skill sets that I don't have. Um, and I appreciate the fact that I've been able to have the experience that I have to know how to delegate, to know how to, you know, communicate vision, and know how to trust people to do what they need to do, and get out of their way. But I made some of those things over, those investments over the last 4 months. I, finally got an assistant. I finally brought on brand partnership support, brought on an editor, right? And so, most people don't know, like, I'm like, yeah, that means I'm 4 people deep now. I'll be,
Mhm.
Mhm.
if things go the way that I would like for them to go, I'll be 7 people deep by the end of the year. And I've
That's
seen the
awesome.
dividends on that, in real time, right? And that's why I share it, because I'm like, if there's a space that you're trapped in, it's because you're spending too much time trying to figure it out yourself, and it's going to take you longer to figure that out versus being vulnerable and
Mhm.
going to Gabriel, going to Andy, and say, hey, I ain't figured out this content piece, man. Like
Yeah.
why isn't what I'm missing here? Like
Mhm.
what I need to do. Or like, if it's something where it needs training, it's like, yo, it's not a cost, it's an investment.
Mhm.
If it's an
100%.
investment that's gonna get me a better outcome, it's gonna get me there shorter, and I can see a way where I can get a return on this, I'm gonna make that investment. Last year, I did I spent a lot of investment in myself and equipment and things like that. I made that money back, right?
Mhm.
You gotta be able to do those things, the things that you're passionate about, but you don't need to go egregious. I'm not saying you need to go buy crazy equipment. Like
Yeah.
like there's cats getting it in with the phone. We know, getting it in,
Yeah.
Yep.
doing great,
Yeah.
great
Absolutely.
with the phone. So it's like, no, let's not overthink this, right?
Yep.
So that's some of the things. And then the last part I would say is me and my friend had this great conversation. Is my best friend. We spent time together in Mexico City last year with our partners. We brought in a new year there, and we had this conversation at the table. It was part joking but part serious. It got a little serious, and his partner was like, you had dismissed this idea that I had, or you wasn't listening to this idea. And, he said, it wasn't that I didn't listen to the idea or that I didn't believe in the idea. He said, I didn't get the sense that you were convicted about the
Mm.
idea.
Yeah.
And conviction is different than,
Yeah.
confidence. It's different than
Yeah.
liking idea. Conviction is like your whole being is committed to the outcome of
Yeah.
this idea. And you can't, it's the only thing that runs your mind from a professional sense. You know, you gotta be healthy and have some other hobbies, because otherwise when
Right.
things when things go south, your whole world melting and you
Oh
like,
boy.
what's the purpose of life? So I mean, if you need any advice on that, just go watch the America's Team episode 2 when when the coach couldn't he couldn't handle them losing because he left his wife, he left his kids, and all he had was football. And let me tell you, that ain't that's not a way you want to deal with stress.
Right.
But but I'm convicted. I'm like, it's not a passive thing. I bought my website, convicted. That website, I'm ashamed to admit, but I had to spend 5 figures on this website because I
Wow.
Ace.
needed it. I needed a
Yeah.
website,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And it's
it's
dope. It's
convicted.
dope.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get it back. I'm gonna get it back. You know what I
Cool.
mean? And so, if I book travel to New York, that's me booking travel. I'm going to New York. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna get it back. I'm convicted to the idea. Um, I think if you want people to buy in, that's what they have to feel that. Like, they can't just see it. They gotta feel it. They gotta,
Yeah.
they're like, we're picky about how we invest our time and our money.
100%.
And,
Yep.
if I don't feel like you care, if I feel like you're just being transactional, why should I care?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, if you're not convicted by it, don't expect nobody else to be.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like people can see through it too.
Mhm.
Like you can tell. I mean, the saying's there: "Fake it till you make it." But people can see that fake. I'm telling you, like people can see that, and so
Yeah.
I like that. I like that conviction piece.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we getting on the tail end of this thing, and I want to say before we get off though is that both you guys are on the screen. I'm watching you. I'm looking at you, and I can say that I have a shoe collab from both of you. So, so,
Isn't that
so,
crazy? It's just
yeah,
crazy to think
Wild.
about.
yeah. So there are 3 people on the screen. Only 2 people have a collab.
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
one day. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Work
Man,
in progress. But
work in
Bimma,
progress.
listen, man, totally appreciate you taking the time to just sit down and like rap with us a little bit. I think that sometimes it's really good when the masses have an opportunity not only to benefit from the resource that you're putting out, but also to be able to learn kind of who you are and what makes you tick, and that you're a human being and you get up and put your pants on one leg at a time just like everybody else, and you have your challenges and you have things that you have as goals and that type of stuff. So just to be able to have this conversation, I think, and I'm hoping that it actually, brings a lot of light to people and like gives a lot of people perspective on, being able to prepare for the journey that they're on to look for success themselves. So, thank you so much for the time that you dedicated to just sitting down and talking with us. Thank you for, all the great information and in the background about Bimma Williams. We won't say your government name on camera, but
You
but
gonna have them really looking for me.
Oh man.
right. So, we do
Oh
appreciate it.
man.
So, but we want to give you an opportunity to, plug yourself, like tell the people what's up, what's coming up next, how can they find you, and, what type of ways that we can support you and your efforts.
Well, next we talk about Dixon Foot Locker.
All right. All right.
Nah, man. One, thank y'all so much for the time and thinking I could contribute something valuable to your platform. So I definitely appreciate that. And also thank you for tapping in with me. Thank you for always having discourse with me, and allowing me to be a part of y'all's community as well. And then for anyone who is looking for me, is at Bimma across all channels, Bimma Williams. And I'll have a formal announcement coming soon, but Collab Lab will be going long form. We will maintain the clips, but
Yeah.
I've gotten so many requests to have a longer dialogue around some of these projects and moments that we all see, and also using it as an opportunity or as an excuse to bring people together. Honestly, so
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm really in the weeds on that. There's a lot of different aspects that I'm really passionate about. And then I guess I'll give y'all the first on this too. Collab of the Year report is coming back. It'll
All
be a
right.
thorough report this year. There is a special partner involved in that report. And I'm excited to last year was really fun. I think we'll build upon what we started last year with that, and just trying to bring another perspective to the marketplace. So I
That's
hope,
dope.
bring your thinking caps.
Yep.
Bring your rebuttals,
Right.
because we gonna shake some stuff up.
I
That's
love
what
it.
we need.
That's what
Absolutely.
we need.
Absolutely.
Man.
Well, this has been the premiere episode of season 6 of the State Specific Show. We took like a year off. I know that Andy and I and Aaron were sitting in Sleepy Bees in Cincinnati, Ohio, back in either the end of October or the 1st of November last year. And I was telling them, hey, about to kind of do some different things with the show. Had always done IG Live before, but wanted to do a podcast format, which, it kind of took me almost a year to get there because I think I was a
That's
little
all
bit
right.
timid, but, just kind of sitting down, having that conversation. And now we're at the point now to where we have kicked off season 6 and just excited about, what's to come for this particular platform, but also super happy once again that you were the premiere episode and allowed us to kind of kick season 6 off. So appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be able to contribute to what you're building, and I'll be back.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Andy, appreciate you, guy.
Likewise, thank you, Gabe, for
Yeah.
dealing with our crazy schedules. Life's busy. I gotta go upstairs here in a minute, chow some dinner,
Yep.
put the kids to bed, and then I got
Yeah.
work to do.
Then you
So
got to get to
Yep.
work. Yeah,
it's
The
life.
work
Yep.
the work don't stop.
we already know. Yeah. So Bimma, I'll see you maybe in like a week and a half in Detroit.
I won't be there this year,
Oh man.
unfortunately.
Oh man.
So I might come to Complex Con. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
So
Well,
Ending
sounds
on a
good.
teaser. There we go.
That's right. All right. Well, good deal.
Man.
Well, thank you guys. And this has been episode 1, season 6, State Specific Show. More to come. Peace now.